Welcome to A World Made of Cardboard Assembles. A little over a month ago, I put out a video about this robot. This is the Kid Connection robot transporter sold at Walmart. It sells for about $20, and it comes with various little robots that you can swap parts with and rearrange them. And yes, my OCD kicked in. I had to change them all to all the parts of the same color together. You get about 10 robots with this toy, and they're just neat little robots. It comes with 2 giant swords that you can actually combine together into one sword. It also comes with 2 pretty powerful little missile launchers here. And it comes with a bunch of little accessories for the little robots. So you can put them in their hands and arm them up pretty well for whatever you want to do. Now, this toy is basically what you see here. It's a case. That's why they call it a robot transporter, I guess. You just carry these other toys around within it. It does change, open up, into a pretty tall robot. It's about 2 feet tall. So they say it's 21.5 inches tall. So there's the total height of it. But looking at it, I was like, these little robots just need something more for this. So in that video that I released a little over a month ago, I presented an upgrade kit that you can use to make this robot change into a command center or a spaceship. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through how to build this kit and put it into this robot, and you make it even a little more sturdy. I'm going to use some tape and stuff to attach the parts to it so that it'll be a little more of a sturdier little toy. So this is what we're going to do in this little video of A World Made of Cardboard Assembles. For sake of time, I've already cut out all the parts and everything except for this one piece. I'm going to show you how to cut this one out and show some of the ways to do it. Every part is already cut out and folded, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to fold it and how to assemble it and put it into the robot. So one thing that I've tried not to do on this show, on my channel, is say these are the tools that you have to use. Mainly because I don't want to put out there a tool and say you've got to use this specialized tool that you can only get from this one store, and make it where not everybody can build these kits. But what I want to do, also I don't want to put out a video that says you have to use this particular type of knife or bladed thing to be able to cut it. So what I've decided to do today, though, is show you the tools that I use to create these toys. Basically most of my paper models. Now I'm also doing something a little different here. I'm using only tools that I found around the house. This is a giant pair of orange-handled scissors. Any of you that grew up in the 80s and 90s know of these scissors. These are made by Fiskars. You can buy these at Walmart as well. I also have a ruler. This is going to come in handy when we have to score or emboss the fold lines. And then to emboss, I have just a regular Bic ballpoint pen that is totally dried up and the ink well is removed. Essentially, I just have now something that will crease the paper or score the paper so that it'll be easy to fold. And to score it, I just will use this and this to make the part. I purposely made this toy, this kit, where you do not really need any type of X-Acto knife or blade to be able to cut it out. Even this part right here, you can cut it out with just a regular pair of scissors and not damage the integrity of the toy or damage anything else. So I'm going to get started, and I'm going to cut this part out. One of the things I try to do with my toy kits is I try to make it as accessible as possible. As few parts as needed, simple, easy construction, so that it'd be easy to make, easy to build, and fun at the same time. Now I'm just going around the perimeter of this part. Now with these scissors it is a little difficult. You can find some other scissors. If you've got some smaller scissors that are used for detailing and you're used to using them, go for it. I have no problem with that. I firmly believe that toys, first off, should not be so expensive that a parent is afraid to give it to their child because the kid's going to break it within a few minutes or something, you know, and then, oh, we're out that $50 or whatever. This robot playset only cost about $20. I don't know how much it sells for overseas, but it's a really neat little playset. And I just decided I needed to try to make it a little bit better. Well, not better, but just enhance its play features. Make it something that is a little more interesting. Or give it other play features. Now I'm just cutting around the parts here, the part. I'm not cutting out anything spectacular. I'm just making the shapes. You're probably noticing I left that little part there. I'll come back to it. Move that off to the side. And each little sheet of this kit has some instructions on it, and I'm going to explain those to you as I go through this. So, like I said, to me, a toy should not be expensive. I cannot fathom paying, you know, $200 for a robot playset like Hasbro's been selling lately, and it's not able to work with any of the other robot toys. It has some quality control issues. I really want a toy to be accessible to everybody. I also have another reason why I do this, why I make these kits available. When I was a kid, I grew up middle of nowhere, Louisiana. Both my mother and father were teachers, and my mother was a kindergarten teacher and my father was a math professor in college. I had access to a lot of materials and a lot of techniques and tools, so I made my own toys a lot of the time. Now, yeah, I had action figures. I had the Millennium Falcon. I had the AT-AT from Star Wars. I had a lot of G.I. Joe vehicles. And I just basically made my toys. That actually directed me toward a career of I was heading toward engineering. Now I'm an architectural drafter, but did math major and industrial technology major in college. It is my hope that someone somewhere, a child, when they build these toys, they'll get that little itch of, hey, I can build that stuff too. I can make a toy. I can do that. Okay, now, and maybe go into a career and make something incredible. But we'll see how this all works out as I continue making these kind of toys. Now, the instructions that are on the little sheet here say cut out all around the parts, and I did. Score or emboss across the parts along these lines. And there are, if you look here, I don't know if you can see that in here, there are some lines that are kind of dashed, dark and light, dark and light. What you do, you can take your pen, your dead ink pen, and your ruler, line your ruler up on those lines, and just draw across them. That's all you have to do. Now, one thing I tried to do was make this thing to where the tolerances were really loose so that there wasn't any worry of, oh, it may not fit because a person didn't cut it right on this line. It'll work. Now, we're getting to the part where I have to cut out that part in the middle. And I'll show you why this works. You can now fold the part easily. When you fold it along that line, you can now cut that center part out. And now you can go up in here. You can cut that off. You can go up in here and you can cut this out. Didn't quite get I got a little white flashing right here. Need to cut off a little bit. Again, that's just my OCD. Doesn't really matter. So you fold all the parts. This part here goes in the center chest. And the arrows, those big black arrows that are on this thing, say when you fold it, you put them in just like this. And it fits in just like that. Now, if you don't like the fact that it could fall out or something, or it's not really sticking in there perfectly, I designed this thing to where if you get some double-sided tape, you can put a couple little pieces in here. This tape I bought at Walmart. This may take a little bit of careful placing, but you can put it in there and that will keep the part from falling out. This is not necessary. In fact, I had this thing sitting with these parts in here for ages. and not having to worry about the thing falling out. It's designed where you don't really need this, but if you plan to take this thing and play with it real rough, or get outside with it, or do something else with it, you may want to add some tape to it. Now, I usually make my toys where you don't need tape. Yes, that is correct. I do that because I don't want someone to be limited by what they can do or what they can build, saying, oh, you have to use tape or have to use glue or something. No, I want it to be where the kid or the adult or whoever builds this thing can build it without having to worry with buying extra parts or extra glue or extra tape or anything. It all just comes together really simply. Alright, so we now have the center part of the command center in. Now we can put in the chest piece. Again, you cut around the outside of the part. The chest is designed to where these are two pieces that will fit together, shaped like this, and it fits into the chest door like that. And so you could see the symbol right there, the little emblem in the front, and the chest folds down and kind of looks like a ramp. That works pretty well, I think. There's also another part, and it was on that sheet. This is a console or a TV screen of some sort. I designed it to where it'll just fit right over the robot's face, and you can still push the button. So it's designed just to be the little command center view screen with the other robots are in there, are in the robot itself, the giant robot. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this up now because we're going to put in the other parts. Alright, first we're going to put in the arm parts here. This part is probably one of the more complicated pieces to fold. It's designed to where when you fold the parts down and up, it actually will support itself in the bottom of the shoulder piece here, of the arm, and come up over the screw hole, or the hole for where the connections are made to be able to mount these robots in. So you're not able to use these parts anymore, those connections anymore, but you do get a neat little command center or set of computer consoles in there. And again, if you want to, and I'm going to go ahead and do it here, if you want to tape it in there so that it doesn't come out, you can put it in. Put you a small piece of double-sided tape in there and put it behind one of those panels, and it will stay. I would suggest making sure it fits in there nicely first before you tape it down, just to be sure everything's in the right place. Then again, the forward part of the fist of the forearm is right here. Oh, that's the right one. You can put it in. And again, if you want to make sure it stays down, you can tape it down. Actually, that was the wrong side. I do have these things labeled left and right. I just grabbed the wrong one. That's better. That fits better. Much better. All you have to do is make sure that you put the right arm in the right arm and the left arm in the left arm. That's it. I'm actually surprised that they didn't do this with this toy. I'm wondering if there are some restrictions or if they just had some cost evaluations they had to do or whatever. But whatever it was, it would have made, I think, for a more interesting toy. And then you slide these parts here right on top. That gives it kind of a similar look to the legs, so you have the joint between the two arm pieces. So putting in the shoulder part. Again, if you want to tape it in, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm going ahead and taping this thing in because I want to be able to display this thing for a long time. And so, and not worry about parts falling out or anything as I move it around. Alright, parts down. You got to make sure it's all the way down before you tape it in too, because getting it out will be a pain if you got to pull it out because it didn't go all the way in or something. Alright, putting in the elbow part. Once again, that's just something to make it look like it's there. Now, for the feet and legs, this is the part that's really kind of neat. Turn them over, and you now have these parts here that fit into the leg portions of the robot. Now, you want the text where it says like Med 1 or detention cell or whatever to go toward the inside of the leg, because when you turn them into robot, into base mode, you turn it over and flip that out, so the part needs to look like that. So, once again, following the arrows, you just slide it in, and there are some little tabs. These little tabs go through the holes on the side of the leg, right there, as you can see, and come out around. Now, those little holes and the tabs, you can use some regular tape, if you so wish, to tape them in place. And I'm going to do that here. Now, one thing I'm doing is I'm cutting the tape with my scissors, so this thing will look like it's got jagged edges. But once it's in place, and I set it down, you can see Med 1 comes out where you can see it. Alright. Still doing this. to the other side too. Whoa, I just turned my light off. Huh? Leaned my head on my elbow on my lamp and I turned it off. So, and these are the ones that I would most likely tape in real life, or tape, well, this is real life, tape if I was a little kid playing with it, because when you transform this thing, these parts just go flying, sometimes go flying out, especially the way it's designed. But doing this, it stays in quite well. Now, gravity. Still gravity. All right. Now, putting in the most complicated pieces. There are some little parts here, little holes that kind of are visible when you play with this thing. So I made these little parts where they would fit down in here, in the knee. You kind of have to shove it through. And there is nowhere to tape this, but it gives it a dark look around instead of the clear white look to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other one in as well. The part is designed to fit in there and go into the little slots so that it will fit just snugly, just right. And when you're done with it, it will look like that. Now I'm going to put in med bay number 2. Yeah, we got two medical bays here. Put the little parts through. And we're almost done. We only got 4 more parts after this, and they're actually easier to put in than anything else. Alright. Now, like I said, you don't have to use the tape. I went ahead and said, I'm going to show putting the tape on it. A lot of people have said, do you ever use tape or glue in your stuff? Yes, I do. But mostly I'm trying to make these parts where you don't need this little added feature. But sometimes it's nice to have a change of pace. As a kid, I used tape all the time because the cardboard toys that I made, I knew I was going to take them and throw them and play real rough with them. So they needed to hold together. And that's where I got my love for using tape sometimes. Now, one thing to note, when I build prototypes, I will use tape at times to hold it together to make sure that something is going to fit right or something's going to work correctly. Like I've got a model coming out soon that I had to do several prototypes. And so, yeah, I had a lot of tape I was using on that one just to make sure it would stay together. All right, next we have a lab. Again, you put it in the direction the arrows are pointing. It'll go in like this. So push it in. After you cut it out all around and fold it, embossing it to where it'll fold and go in straight. Put it in, and again, those little tabs will fit right through the holes to the outside to hold the part in. I remember as a kid getting toys that had cardboard parts in it. And I even mentioned this in the video that I made for this, where you can download the kit, and I'm probably going to have the download available in this one as well, where toys themselves were coming with cardboard parts in them. You know, it was very easy to make a cardboard part for a toy, and it could add some real detail to it. The Death Star, the Millennium Falcon had cardboard parts. I remember getting the Cloud City playset, that Sears exclusive. I actually had 2 of them because at Christmas I got 2, one from 2 different people. And so I was excited because it was a cardboard playset. I loved it. So there was no problem for me there. All right. So the lab is put in. As you can see, it just goes straight in that direction. Now for the comms, communication bay. Put it in. It's here where the tape really comes in handy, because these 2 legs rub together and it can knock the parts out of place. So having the little bit of tape on them comes in handy. Now, don't worry about the parts deforming as they go in. It's actually designed that way so that it adds a little bit of spring action to the cardboard to actually hold the playset in a lot better. It'll keep it in place. And also, that's part of my looser tolerances on the thing. Alright, so far so good. We've now closed off. You can see how the holes here just make the robot look hollow. Now, he's not as hollow as he once was. Last 2 parts to go in the robot. The other 2 parts are a little different. Alright, this is the detention cell. Put it in, following the little arrows. You put the little tabs through the holes just like it's described. It should fit in nicely. Like I said, you can also, and I'm going to use some tape here. Oh, cut that piece a little big. Oh, I discovered as a kid, when creating toys, play sets for my toys, and adding to them like this with pieces of cardboard, I discovered that the glossy tape seemed to look a little bit better. So I would recommend that. That magic tape, the Scotch tape that's supposed to disappear when you stick it on paper, works great when you're working with paper, but not so great when you're not working with paper. Alright, that piece of tape did go down too well, but it still holds. I think I got it a little wet there, but yeah, I'm getting a little hot. Okay, that side is done. I'm not going to worry with these 2. That should be enough to hold it in. Putting in the power control, the power station into the robot. Now you're probably wondering, why do you have the power station in the foot? Why didn't you put it in the center command center there? I thought about that. Seriously, I did. Then I was like, I'm going to put it in the foot just to make it different. It worked for Mighty Orbots. If any of you remember that show, Crunch was the power generator for the Orbots, and he was the foot of the giant robot. So, yeah, it works. last piece of tape here. All right. Now, there he is, all detailed up, but there's still 2 more parts you have to cut out. This is a cover, and it's used to cover his face when he's in a spaceship mode. It just sits over there, sits over his face. It kind of locks in between the sides of the handle and the head, so it'll cover his face. You can also use it when he's in base mode. You could leave it there. The most complicated part is this. This is a cylinder that you will fold. Once you get it to fold it over, you then have to kind of roll it. Now what I did is I rubbed it against the edge of a table to get it to roll a little bit, and then you stuff one end into the other. This is needed so that his base mode will actually stand up. I tried all sorts of ways to come up with something a little more user-friendly, but this was probably this was the strongest and easiest way to make something for this. So let me first show you base mode. Now you have basically all of the parts put in, and you've got these 3 parts left over. You've got this piece here, you've got the stand, and you've got the console monitor for the command center. Let's turn them into base mode. Now you can put the swords on his back. Which way do they go? There we go. They go like this. The instructions show how they go on. Now what I do is I will put them straight up to be like antennas or something in the base mode. Put his arms forward. Put his legs to the side and rotate them out. And do one little click to kind of give it an angle to it. Now this is where this little stand comes in handy. The stand just fits right in there. The idea is that when you set him down now, he's now stable. Open up the chest piece. I lower that down, and I put this right over his face. So now I've got a place for all the little robots to go. I could put one in the detentions. Well, he's got a gun. I'll put this guy over here in the power. Well, let's put him up here. Yeah, now you can see him. Here's another. I'll put this guy in the detention cell. He looks like a bad guy. Let's put this guy up here so you can see there's now room for all these little toys, all these little robots around the entire toy. You can even mount the missile launchers in different locations. Well, the 2 that are available. And that, oh, it's on the side. There it is. So you have the ability to play with the toy in various scenarios, various ways. You can put a robot in the med bay over here. Yeah, let's do that. And one thing, cutting out that part in the middle right here, and they're falling, allows you to store the missiles right in the place where they originally would store. You don't have to store them someplace else. Now I thought about doing something different, making a different place for them, or even just making some other place for them to be put. But I was like, no, the designer of this toy made these little slots for a purpose, so I'm going to keep that, even though I'm changing up his toy a little bit. So we'll put him in the lab, and this guy over here. And so in this part, you can just kind of set it off to the side somewhere. So let me take my camera and we'll go take a look. See, there's the detention cell. There's the lab. There's one of the med bays, med bay 1. There's med bay 2. The power center, the communications area. There's the big command center. And then up here we have, up here we have kind of the watchtower areas, places for them to look around and see what's happening. Now, like I said, you could find any toy, robot, or action figure that's about the same size. This is a little over 2 inches tall, I believe. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Oh, they're in that size range. Let's get a little size there for us. So a little less than 3 inches, a little over 2.5 inches tall. So that gives you an idea of how big these robots are and what you can do with them. Now, let me move this back up. Sorry for the shakiness there. Now let's change it into a spaceship. Yeah, you got to take that out anyway. For spaceship mode, I like putting both missile launchers right there for a reason. Alright. Spaceship mode is a little interesting. First, raise the head up and put this cover on him right there. Now you're still able to access the button and knock the sword off the back. So now take the legs, kind of fold them down slightly. You can close that up if you need to. I usually take the arms off too. Remove the stand, you don't need it anymore. And you can see I've turned the legs slightly to the side. Now you take the fist and put it into the med bay and then fold the leg around. So the fist is up in here. The missile launcher is now looking straight forward. You do the same thing with this side here too. Open up the center part. My ramp fell out. You could put this inside one of the feet just to get it out of the way, because it's not really needed for this part of the toy. You can then take these and put them underneath. Either you can have them going straight forward to be like little parts that, well, stick out in front or whatever. And then the figures can just sit right in here. Since they're robots, they don't need atmosphere to be able to operate this thing. So there you have it. You could take this too and slide it right there. So now the console is looking straight forward. So let me bring this down to show you what's going on. You see, there we have some simple little parts, and you fell over. Wow, okay, whatever. Simple little parts that are made to make this toy into something a little more interesting. It's still a fun toy, even if you don't have all these parts. But it's a neat little thing to be able to add parts to stuff and make your own toy. And what's neat is it still, yeah, sometimes you may want to try to figure out to put a piece of tape to hold that in too. You can still change it into that carrying case as well. It still has that capability. Now the little missile launchers, due to the way the thing changes, can't be in that position. But there he is. I know I got his head stuck out there. You can lower it down. And you can still use it as a carrying case. You can stick all these guys in the robot and carry them around. So that is how I build a simple robot toy into a command center and a spaceship using this little kit. Now, if you look in the description down below, the link to this kit is available. It is a PDF that is on an Adobe cloud storage, so you'll be able to download it pretty easily, print it out, and follow the instructions. But if you've kept up this long with this video, thank you for watching, and have fun playing with your toys, and happy building.